Show me your news!
So, Joe, on that note, do you want to show me your news?
Yeah, sure.
Awesome.
So, in a continuation of the fun drama between Konami and Kojima and everybody else in the world versus Konami, you might remember that we talked about a SuperBunnyHop video that was very informative on the whole Konami versus Kojima thing. Apparently, that got pulled down at some. And what happened was, it didn't just get pulled down from just some person, not how they usually go, where it's somebody that doesn't own the product at all that they're claiming to own, which happens all the time on YouTube because they have a broken system. It was from an actual high-ranking executive at Konami. And the reason they gave was, and SuperBunnyHop also put out a video about this, like this specific chain of events. What happened was, for a while it was down, and he tried to dispute it, which, as anybody that's ever worked with YouTube before, disputing a copyright claim is a fucking nightmare that rarely ever gets anything done. And if it does get something done, it takes months, if not longer. It's stupid and overly complicated, and
at least 2 weeks. Yeah,
and everybody fucking hates YouTube's copyright stuff. But it got overridden very quickly, and it got overridden because somebody from YouTube, or at least SuperBunnyHop thinks this is what happened. Somebody from YouTube actually looked at it and said, "Yeah, no, this is not valid. We're going to go ahead and reverse it." Because their claim was Metal Gear Rising. That was what they said he was infringing upon. Which he points out, like, in that video, there is 30 seconds of Metal Gear Rising footage. The audio is basically muted, and most of it is menus. Konami doesn't seem to understand that the internet doesn't forget, no matter how hard you want them to forget.
And the Barbra Streisand effect is,
yeah,
it's a fickle thing.
So, like, they pulled this video down, and unfortunately for them, it didn't make it go away. It actually made it more popular. It's super popular now. He has since then done a video on the chain of events that led to it being pulled down and them going back up. And he's also done a video about how Konami is just really stupid for having let PT go. And how they could have had an actual, like, super successful product, regardless of whether or not Silent Hills was a good game or not. And they just let it slip through their fingers. I don't know, the whole chain of events, a lot of people are saying that they think this is a sign of YouTube getting better with their copyright stuff. I don't want to go that far, but at the same time, as BunnyHop says, this has never been done for a gaming channel before. There's never been an actual person at YouTube look at a copyright claim on a gaming channel and reverse it because they don't think it's correct. That never happens. And gaming channels have that happen to them all the time, where people who don't even own the stuff they're asking for. That's happened to us with Moon Prism. When we were on YouTube, we had people that weren't even remotely related to any of the people that have to do with Sailor Moon. They would claim our videos.
That's why we're hesitant to do WTFP stuff, because, like, it's just not a time to do anime stuff on your own. I mean, because why Moon Prism works is because you have the Google Drive space.
Yeah, we have our own place to host the files, and that's the only reason we can do it.
You're not worried about YouTube, and you're not worried about Vimeo and Blip and all this stuff. Like, it's just not a good time for anime. I mean, for game stuff, it's one thing to have, like, oh, you can't make money, you can't monetize it, you can't, put ads on the video. That's one thing. I mean, for it to be taken down for a copyright strike, and for YouTube, the way it works, when you get a copyright strike there, that changes your channel in a number of ways, and not good ways.
The way YouTube works is you get 3 strikes, and then your channel's gone.
I know about that from my own one that used to host WTFP stuff.
But yeah, that was kind of a revolutionary thing, was that YouTube doesn't do that for video gaming channels, ever. I have a feeling it's because it blew up so much, because Konami was trying so hard to fucking cover it up. And again, like, I hope Konami's learned their lesson, that they can't just do that. The internet will fucking strike back. Like, that's a really dramatic way to put it. Like, oh, the internet's gonna strike back, it'll have its revenge. But, like, in a way, yeah, trying to cover something up just brings it more into the light when the internet's involved.
Especially when there's, like, no explanation given.
Yeah.
Like, no good explanation given at all.
They're trying so hard to sweep this Kojima thing under the rug, and they don't seem to realize that the internet's on Kojima's side, not theirs.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
It's been really interesting to see a lot of the media that's come out in, attack of Konami in a way, too. Mega64 doing a video about PT was fantastic. If you have not seen that, it's not going to be my YouTube video recommendation for this week, but, it's something that you should see. That's really important. I've been following SuperBunnyHop's work for a little while now, and he does really good work, especially with Metal Gear Solid, with the critical close-ups that he does, and these long, in-depth looks. And the interesting thing about the first Konami video, at least, the one that is blowing up because of the Streisand Effect, which, if you don't know what that is, it's when someone tries to silence bad press about them, but in a result draws more attention to it, and it brings it more attention than it would have if the bad press had been out there to begin with anyway. So it's kind of a self-fulfilling acceleration of attention. So the interesting thing about this first Konami video is because he was doing game journalism. And say what you will about the game journalists of today, they take random headlines, they repurpose press releases, they don't do much work on their own. There are some who do, of course. But for George Weidman, who's SuperBunnyHop, for him to be as independent as he was, and he was emailing contacts at Konami, and there were deals of keep things under wraps and anonymity here. But for him to do the work he did on his own, that's journalism. That's finding the truth, cutting through the bullshit.
Anybody that doesn't think there's any integrity in gaming journalism, for the most part, you're right. For the most part. But he is a very good example of what gaming journalism should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so just really finding and hunting the truth. Hunt the truth, Halo 5. It's really interesting, and I mentioned a couple weeks ago, watch that video on Konami, and we'll see what happened with it.
If you haven't gotten it yet, it's back up now.
Yes,
obviously, if you didn't.
For now.
The best part about that whole process was that he looked at it, because it shows you, they will send you the name of the actual people who did the copyright strike, and he looked that name up, and it was an actual pretty high-ranking executive at Konami. It wasn't just some stooge. It was an actual executive.
And it shows you how petty they're being through the whole thing. Petty is the word to describe a lot of this Konami stuff.
Oh, definitely.
I mean, to remove PT entirely is petty. To take some of these things so offensively is petty. And that's a lot of the things that SuperBunnyHop describes. They're going through this big reforming, and it seems like the CEO almost took offense to some things that Kojima was being successful. And it's why you take his name off of past games boxes. It's petty.
That's very dumb.
It's basically just throwing a temper tantrum.
Mm-hmm. We don't know how much longer this story is going to roll on, but this was certainly an interesting caveat in the Konami meltdown. I think we will hear the story one day, but maybe at least 3 years down the line.
Maybe.
I'd be surprised if we get it sooner. But there's a lot of things to work itself out, and I think in time we'll get someone doing investigative journalism like this, and it's going to make for a fucking fascinating story.
It'll make a good documentary, I think.
It would. Mm-hmm. It really would. But, they still have to put Phantom Pain out, and on June 9th we're going to be getting a lot of previews, because about a week or so ago there was Select Press out in LA playing the latest build of the game for preview's sake. But that has to be released, and if they have any post plans, like any DLC or anything like that, that has to clear as well.
Just a quick thing to everybody out there. Don't boycott Phantom Pain.
Oh, God, no.
That's not going to teach Konami anything. That's going to tell Konami they're right. Mm-hmm. And you don't... if anything, make Phantom Pain super successful.
Yes. And then you
blow it up.
And then you don't support any Metal Gear games that they're making after, because they are looking for teams to do that. But that's where you start to boycott those games.
Yeah, when it's not Kojima making them, that's when you need to make them bomb.
I mean, God, Kojima is putting in just a labor of love in this final game. And for all the reports that early talks that we're getting out of before this embargo lifts, Phantom Pain is shaping up to be amazing. So why would you boycott that and put that against Kojima?
I don't think anybody wants to put it against Kojima. A lot of people are just going the usual route of we need to speak with our wallets, and yes, you do, but not now, not in that way.
Not yet.
Yeah, not right.
Let's say not yet.
If Konami wants to get out of the video game business so bad, fucking let them. I do not care.
But
I'm going to buy
also
Phantom Pain, but after that, I don't particularly care.
Well, they don't have any other franchise that I care about.
You don't care about Pro Evolution Soccer?
Oh, God.
Oh, I
11?
Pro
forgot
Evolution
about it.
Soccer.
If they're not going to bring back Evolution skateboarding, I don't care.
I mean, DDR, Silent Hill,
Well, yeah.
Castlevania, Metal Gear.
I don't think we're gonna see another DDR game for a very long time, mainly because George said that his source was telling him that a lot of the DDR developers were just moved to sound engineering for other stuff, and they're not working on DDR anymore.
I think a lot of people have moved away from caring too much about DDR, but it's going to bum me out. If Bamani will have to go under, and that's what I worry about more.
I take back what I said a few episodes. I don't think Konami's going to be shutting its doors anytime soon because, sadly, Konami's fine. They have stakes in so many other big industries over in Japan that they don't need video games.
Well, as far as their video game, console video game market is concerned, absolutely.
Yeah, they don't. They have pachinko machines. They have mobile games. They have all sorts of stuff. They don't need console games, which sucks. Which means they're going to be around for longer. I understand if they want to move away from console games. You didn't have to burn every bridge possible to do that.
Yeah.
You guys realize that, right?
I wouldn't mind them going more for arcade releases. I think 2014 they still made arcade games.
In Japan, they still do it all the time.
So I mean, if they want to keep doing arcade, I'm fine with.
Yeah.
Keep making poppin' music or whatever. Beat Mania.
Again, it's just petty as shit.
Oh yeah, it's silly what they're doing.
So what do you think of Konami? And go watch all 3 SuperBunnyHop videos, especially the one he just did on PT, and about how down the line it's going to end up being extremely historically significant to our industry.
Then watch more of his videos.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. His videos are really good.
He's going for informative, not comedy. So they're not funny videos, but they're very informative and very interesting, and I like them a lot.
Show me your news!